Welcome to episode 2 of Techno Talk. I'm Matty.
And I'm Joshua.
We have some pretty interesting topics to cover today. How are you doing, Joshua?
I'm good. You?
I'm a little shocked at this week's news. My main topic is the Apple versus US Antitrust Lawsuit.
And my main topic is, does AI deserve rights?
Well, we're going to talk about that and more, only here on Techno Talk. So, Apple is being sued by the United States DOJ in an antitrust
Really?
lawsuit. Yep.
Ooh, I did hear something about that.
Yeah, that's the first ever antitrust lawsuit since the Microsoft lawsuit in the 1990s. So it's the first time the US government has actually done and launched another lawsuit against a company.
Wow. Tell me a little bit
And,
more about that.
well, Apple's a United States company, so this is going to have major repercussions for the future of Apple should they lose. But the main parts that this lawsuit's trying to tackle is a thing called super apps. These are applications that contain numerous functions within a single app, and this should ring a bell for anyone following Elon Musk's Everything app, aspirations for X. The DOJ claims that Apple is inhabiting their success to increase dependence on the iPhone. So basically, they're cutting down on apps that are able to do everything. Like, they don't want you to run a game streaming app that has like 100 games. Like, let's take Xbox Game Pass, for example. You can't download that as an individual app on your phone. Apple just won't let you for some reason. I guess it's just their own wanting to make 30% of every single app purchase. Um, so that's kind of crappy. But
Yeah.
on top of that, messaging apps is another thing that's being hit in this lawsuit. So basically, the blue bubble, green bubble effect is
Yeah.
specifically cited by the DOJ as a major factor discouraging iPhone users from adopting a competitor's device. This effect is particularly powerful for certain demographics like teenagers, where the iPhone share is 85% according to one survey. So I'm sure you
Oh,
know a lot about that, right?
yeah. Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's that's everywhere. I mean, well, if someone like texts another teenager and they get the green text bubble, then it's like a pride thing. Like now all of a sudden they think less of someone because they're not the same color of text bubble. It's
Right.
not great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely happens pretty often too in this space, and I'm just kind of shocked by the whole the United States government actually doing something, because for a while, they kind of just don't care about
Yeah.
anything, and these companies are becoming so big. They're becoming huge monopolies to a point where we just don't know what direction they're going to go next. And now there's two more topics in the lawsuit that is being covered. Cloud stream gaming apps. So basically, um, Apple has opposition to cloud-based gaming, claiming its actions are to prevent consumers from playing games without the need for users to purchase powerful, expensive hardware. So Apple does not like cloud gaming for some weird reason. But again, that's
Mhm.
them being able to govern what's on the phone and what's not on the phone, and that's a major issue.
Yes. Apple really likes to gatekeep, and it's like they'll gatekeep anything from their apps and software to their functionality. Just this past year, they released the USB-C cable finally,
Yeah, I
and
heard about that one.
instead of the Lightning cable, because um the Lightning cable was only specifically used for the iPhone, and so they were able to only sell those to the Apple customers, requiring them to get this one specific thing instead of the USB, which they had already switched their MacBooks, AirPods, and a bunch of other stuff before the phone. Like they kept the phone on the Lightning for at least a 2 extra unnecessary years.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely understand that. And it's kind of like I like Apple, but at the same time I don't like how they're kind of gatekeeping all their users into this one singular ecosystem. And it's kind of just sad, right? For
Yeah,
all these users who just they just want something better. They don't want to have to spend more money. They don't want to have to buy the Apple specific cable. They want to be able to replace their batteries pretty easily. They want to be able to repair their phone when it's being, damaged and its lifespan's over. They want to be able to do all this stuff, and they can't because of Apple, you know.
yeah,
And another thing that was even pointed out in this lawsuit is how Apple Pay takes 0.15% of all transactions, which I didn't even know that, but apparently um it's basically taking a ton of percentage like from every single transaction when you use Apple Pay. I didn't even know that until recently.
wow, really?
Yeah, so I mean Apple's trying to pretend like they're a credit card processing company when they're really not. I mean, Apple Pay is more of a like NFC chip technology that Google has and Samsung has and a lot of different companies.
Yeah,
And I think the big thing is too, which was pointed out here, is how like, you buy an Apple Watch, right? You could only use it
yeah,
with Apple products. You can't use it with Samsung phones. You can't use it with anything else. You need an Apple. And that probably
yeah.
makes people mad as well. But I feel like the primary focus of this lawsuit should be focused on the App Store. Because look at what they did in the EU. They opened up the App Store so that if a developer wants to make their own App Store, Apple cannot limit them from doing so. So now in the
No,
EU, Epic Games has their own App Store. Um, Google has their own App Store.
yeah. Well, didn't we talk about that last week?
Yeah, we talked about something similar, but now this is going to be hopefully applied here in the United States.
That would be awesome. Anyways, my topic, my first topic is, uh, China wants Microsoft and Intel off of its computers. They don't want any American connection to their computers.
Really?
And this could possibly make Microsoft and Intel take a big hit because they have kind of a big deal going on with that. Um, but as part of the policies, the Beijing government will do away with U.S. microprocessors from Intel and AMD. Um, as the country leans on domestic options, it will look to scrap the use of Microsoft Windows operating system and a foreign-made database software from its computers as well. Uh, they really want safe and reliable processors and operating systems when making purchases.
I mean, I feel like it has a lot more to do with maybe Apple um wanting to, or well, it's not about Apple, is it? It's about China.
No,
It's
no.
about China wanting to. It's about them wanting to kind of seclude themselves from the American ecosystem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, which I mean makes sense from like a government safety standpoint. Like,
Right.
we don't really want Like if we're buying US products, then they always have the possibility to sneak something in there and spy on us. Like what if we buy a Intel chip that they put something on and that goes in a government computer, you know? Because now we're screwed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the United States has similar policies where they will not let any Chinese technology touch inside of their military
Yeah.
computers and stuff like that, you know. This is more
Yes.
so them just cracking down on wanting to make their own technology, their own developments, and kind of make themselves more independent from the United States. And I feel like that's just how the whole like global economy's been going. I mean, this is not a financial or history type of show, but you know, there's definitely been a trend in international markets kind of separating. Like we used to be this one world economy trying to generate, you know, revenue between each other and help each other, and that kept conflict and war
Yeah.
away. But now we're kind of reverting back to this secluded nature where the United States, they want to pull back from China as much as possible in terms of manufacturing, and China wants to seclude themselves from us and make their own chips, their own phones, and all that, right? And then on top
Yes.
of that, you got Russia and all these other countries that want to also no longer rely on United States technology and development.
Yeah, funny you mention that because this article also states how the US is similarly pulling away its reliance on China and Taiwan to ramp up semiconductor production at home. And with that, Biden announced an $8.5 billion federal funding from the CHIPS Act for Intel Corp to manufacture semiconductors in Arizona.
Yeah,
$8.5 billion is a lot of money.
yeah, I've heard about
Yeah.
the CHIPS Act pretty well, and it's one of the bigger accomplishments of the administration, I would say, over the time. But the CHIPS Act is really interesting to me because that really fuels economic and homeland innovation here in America, right? That fuels
Yeah.
the chip manufacturers coming here and producing here. I mean, I don't see why they can't, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they could 100% have more fabrication facilities, and I know Intel has a lot here, but you know, TSMC and Samsung and Nvidia, all these different companies, you know, they need to start producing this technology here in America because you never know. You know, China might decide, hey, it's time to invade Taiwan. I don't think they're going to do it because they're, you know, scared to do so. But if they did, then we're kind of screwed.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I hope that there's a good outcome here. I hope eventually these manufacturers are up and running. And I heard in 2025 or 2026, some of these uh, facilities will be online. So I'm happy about that.
Yes. What do you have next for us,
Well,
Matt?
I want to tell you a little bit about, you know, Elon Musk, he has a Neuralink brain chip, right? So
Yes.
the
Wow.
first person ever to have Neuralink brain chip officially posted a tweet on X, formerly Twitter, just by thinking.
Oh.
Yep. And his name's Noland, a 29-year-old, and he became the first person to send a tweet using his thoughts. Um, yeah, it's
I know
pretty
we were
crazy.
on the pilot episode. We were talking about that a little bit. How they had just accomplished clicking using mouse clicks.
Yeah, exactly. And this is even more than clicking because another thing that happened is he was able to play chess on in different video games by using his mind to control the cursor on his computer without any physical tools.
Wow.
He simply imagines the cursor moving where he wants it to go and it moves. So that's pretty insane to me.
That's that's big.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I didn't think we'd be here all like it's only been a few years since he launched this
yeah,
project and now it's literally changing people's lives. And by the way, this guy's paralyzed, I believe, so he's not able to do anything. That's why he was a good candidate for this product. And this is going to immensely change his life for the better, hopefully.
I would hope so. Um, yeah, wow, huge. Um, I wonder if that's humane or not. Testing on humans,
Yeah.
does it is that ethical? Because I mean, obviously he's paralyzed, but he's still alive, and I mean, he probably like consented to it, but still, like, what if they did it wrong?
Yeah. I mean, who would be held liable, honestly? I mean, it'd be a freak accident, really.
Yeah,
I mean, my only concern, right, is obviously once these technologies, they'll help a lot of people's lives, but then you have to think too, what's the capabilities? Is this able to download your brain's data? I mean, that's not too far out of the question, really. I mean, are they going to be able to hack into your brain or something? I know we covered something similar to this before, but, you know, it feels to me like there's going to be a future where we normalize putting chips inside of our body and we'll have a Google chip, a Microsoft chip, all these different companies, and they'll just be in our body, and we'll be like, oh well, this makes life easier.
let me ask you something, Matt.
What?
Have you have you played Cyberpunk?
I got Cyberpunk, but I have not played it yet.
Oh, well, let me tell you, you should play it because with this Neuralink chip, it's it's kind of telling me that this is super similar to a like cyberpunk world. Like, imagine it if we can like upgrade our bodies with technology, and there's like this all-encompassing net of information and data that can be hacked with your
Oh my
mind,
god, I'd rather just find
and
the
you have
nearest
like
bridge. Oh my god.
crazy.
I mean, honestly, this technology is pretty cool to me, but at the same time, if that's how the future's going to be, I don't think that's the right future because even now, I mean, at my age, I think we both probably grew up at a time where
Yeah,
technology wasn't like absorbed in our entire life,
yeah,
since we were young, right? Like, I mean, people growing up today, it literally starts from when they're 1 year old, but
yeah,
that's kind of creepy. But at least we were able to experience a time where it wasn't as advanced. We still got to use VHS tapes and CDs and DVDs, That was our life more so, right? Like our childhood.
yeah, yeah,
And the Wii is a piece of technology, but that's a better, more modern time, or not modern, but more simplistic, right? Like
yeah.
it's honestly like now when I go on a console, I see that I can't even do anything, right? Because I need to do the Wi-Fi and update everything. It's ridiculous.
We may be the last sort of years born into uh life without um technology is a huge part of growing up, right? Like, um like if I ever like cried or did something bad in the store, my mom would just tell me to shut up. Like, you hand me an iPad, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's
I don't want
true.
kids.
I mean, today though, I feel like now, even now, like I'm looking back at it and I'm like, personally, I feel like I use the phone too much, you know? Like it's
Yeah,
already starting to consume me, right?
yeah,
And I mean, yeah, it's a great productivity tool. I enjoy, communicating with coworkers and running my business from the phone. But at the same time, then you got apps like TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all this that kind of just eat away at your time. You're kind of just scrolling there
yeah.
endlessly, and a lot of it's brain rot material. Nothing's really making you smarter in that regard. And I think I'm at a point where I'm okay with the idea of someday when I retire, just not using a phone anymore. Like maybe I'll
Yeah,
just downgrade to a normal phone with no touch screen. I know
yeah.
that sounds like boomer-esque, but like, I feel like that's really what it's gonna come to someday. You know? I mean, after being
That
fed
would
all
be,
this data in our brain, it's just like exhausting. And to imagine
yeah,
that our future kids, right? They're going to
yeah,
be having chips in their brain and having eye implants where they could see the whole interface right built into their eye. Technology is going to be a part of them. Like at least today we're
yeah.
able to just take the phone and throw it away, into the river. Like those movies, you see them throw it off the yacht, right? Their burner phone. Like in The Wolf
Yeah,
of Wall Street, they throw it away, right? I feel like the same thing's gonna happen here. But in the future, you won't be able to disconnect yourself because it'll literally become a part of your personality, your person, right? Because if it's injected and you wouldn't connect it up to you, you can't just shut it down, right?
you
And
can't like remove that sort of thing if it's connected to your like nervous system.
yeah, and then it'll even threaten you. It'll be like, well, if you remove me, you're dead, basically, like, right? And then with AI on top of it, that allows them to control your body. I mean, who's to
Yeah,
say that AI is not going to use humans as their body? I mean, that might be a
yeah.
little bit far-fetched, but you never know.
Mhm. Now,
you
on the
know.
topic of AI, um, do AI systems deserve rights? What do you think before I get into this?
Well, do they deserve rights? I don't think so. I mean, it's just a piece of technology. I mean, the moment you start giving them rights, then they want more rights, and then they want more rights. And then you have a whole thing where it's just like they become more popular and more powerful than us.
Right.
What do you think?
Now,
What's your opinion?
um, I don't think so. They're not a living, breathing thing. They're man-made.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, rights are a tricky subject anyways. Like women got rights literally within the past, I don't know, 100 years, and that's probably even less than that. I don't know off the top of my head, but they got them fairly recently
Right.
after a lot of pushing for it. And you know, AI are built to help and you know uh not be alive. Like they're not made to be their own thing. They're made to help us.
Right.
We don't need a robot president.
I mean, maybe it'll do a better job,
Yeah, that's what I would say. Yes.
but like,
Um.
in my opinion, though, the argument's going to be down to, well, if scientists figure out a way to produce babies without a human contact, right?
Yeah.
Then that's kind of like, now does that baby deserve rights because it was human made? Just like AI is human made, we made it, but now does it deserve
Mm.
rights? It's a pretty complicated argument, really.
Yeah. Babies aren't capable um of advanced thought, right? Like,
Yeah,
you can't ask a baby to write you an essay.
no, you
It
can't.
just like you can't choose things for babies. Like, um, like it can get pretty bad and unethical pretty quickly because babies can't choose and can't do things for themselves.
Yeah, of
Does that
course.
mean
They're not controlled
boys?
by
Like,
anybody. Well, they're controlled by the parent, right?
yeah. Um, Now, according to this, um, people are falling in love with machines, and it's not what you think. It's not. It's not a Blade Runner. Like you're not going to be falling in love with an actual robot, but people are deliberately choosing to love machines. Now, you may have seen those dumb little ads of the AI companion or AI lover apps, where you can chat with these AIs in these apps like your friends. They will tease you, flirt with you, and express sympathy for your troubles, give
My
virtual
God.
smiles and hugs, and even engage in erotic roleplay. The most popular of them, Replica, has an active Reddit page where users regularly confess their love and often view that love as no less real than their love for human beings.
Well, that caters to a certain human population that prefers a non-physical connection. Like they get
Yeah.
enough fulfillment from just talking through a microphone and professing their love, right? Like
Yeah.
that kind of caters to that demographic of people. And there's a lot of people like that out there who honestly they want to feel something on the side, or like they don't want something realistic like in real life, you know?
Yeah.
Um and that caters to a certain group of people. I mean, obviously these AIs that flirt and all this, they don't have bodies. I mean, someday they will, but for now, it's kind of just an online connection. And, you know, there's hotlines still today, which I'm shocked about, where you can just call and, a random person will be on the other end doing stuff with you. So, I mean, this AI is going to probably replace that, right?
Doing stuff.
Yeah, doing stuff, um, totally
Probably,
innocently.
honestly.
But, like, I
Probably
mean,
something
the AI
similar
could.
to Blade Runner.
Well, the AI is going to be able to
Like a
replace this industry, though. I mean,
um,
the companies that own these phone numbers that do this, they make a lot of money because you end up
yeah,
having to pay and all that and put in your credit card number,
yeah.
um, and set up an account and get like, you still get mailed your invoice, believe it or not. I've heard.
Really.
Not because I use it, but because I've heard about
Sure, man. Sure.
it. Nah, I'm serious. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something that happens a lot, right? And this AI is going to be able to replace all that. And I even introduced my father to this phone number that you can call, and it's currently free. I don't know if it's still free today, but you can call this number, and it'll just be an AI on the other end, and it'll say, "How can I help you?" And You just talk to it, really. There's no payment required. I'm sure eventually they'll need to be paid though, but it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. Sounds sounds like it will definitely grow and definitely replace the old systems. Can
Yeah,
definitely see that happening.
I could see some other things happening too, which I won't get into, but I do really feel like there's going to be a cultural shift throughout time,
Yes.
um, for better or for worse, really. I mean, is this what people want? I guess so.
Mhm. If
But
they're paying, it'll grow.
true.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
What do you have next?
Well, my last topic I have here is one that's kind of I think it's a dumb topic, to be honest. Like I don't really understand the upsetness of it, but let me just let you know about the topic first. So, GTA 6, right? The game
Yes.
that we all still want to live in this society to live to play, like that's the main motivation for life at this point, right? That
Yeah.
game is apparently going to be delayed to 2026, and
What?
a lot of people are upset about that. It hasn't been confirmed, but Kotaku reports insiders with knowledge of the game development have said that it's behind schedule and is likely to release later in 2025 or even fall back to 2026. Recently, Rockstar issued a notice to the majority of employees for them to return to the office 5 days a week. Employees have blasted that decision since, while it's understood that the developer is forcing this through to issue productivity and security concerns. If development is behind schedule, that might shed some light on why Rockstar is doing this. So, Rockstar's like, hey, beginning April, all you employees have to come back into the office, right?
Yeah.
Not a big thing. I completely understand that because, work from home isn't necessarily the most productive workplace. But
Yeah.
one thing I could say is that people getting upset over this, I don't even know why you'd get upset over this. I mean, we know the game's coming. It's coming either 2025 or 2026, right?
Yeah.
And I'd rather see it get delayed and have a little bit of hate or come out early and get a major
Right.
lot of hate. Because look at Cyberpunk, right? That came out rushed and it turned out to be just so bad and people got bad taste in their mouth, right? And they didn't play it. And even today, even though the game's a lot better now, like it's polished up, it's a nicer game, and they fixed the majority of the issues, if not all, well, gamers still feel a bad taste in their mouth about the whole game.
Right.
Like they're just like, well, this happened and I'm never going to touch the game. I'm never going to buy. And if anything, that could damage a brand significantly. And, you know, I've kind of compared to City Skylines what happened there. Like City Skylines was a huge franchise in the like niche simulator space, right?
Yeah.
And now the whole brand is ruined. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
City Skylines 2 comes out, ends up being a pile of trash. No offense to developers, it's not their fault, but it's the publisher's fault for
Yes.
for basically pushing City Skylines 2 developers to go and like push out this game prematurely before it's even ready. And I
Yeah.
I bought the game. I own it still. I didn't refund it, but I will say that it's left a bad taste in my mouth. And I heard that tomorrow, if you do play City Skylines 2, the modding support is finally going live. Um,
Finally, wow.
Yeah, because that's what was the biggest driver of the game, the community modding. And hopefully this turns the game around, because obviously if you have your game open source to your community, they're going to be able to come in and fix a lot of the issues faster than the developers will, you know. So
Right.
hopefully that improves that game. But I'm just trying to make a comparison here. Like, it's gonna, yeah, it sucks that we have to wait maybe this much longer. And by the way, a lot of these reports aren't even confirmed to the slightest
Yeah.
amount. But like, in my opinion, I feel like GTA 6 is such a ambitious and big scaled game. There's so many different parts to it that we don't even think of, right? And
Right.
a lot of these parts need to be polished and refined. And, if it were to be pushed back, I could see that. Now, one thing I will say though is on the trailer, it said coming 2025. Well, my thing is that it never said spring, summer, fall,
Yeah.
winter. It never said anything like that. So, why are people just expecting it to come out spring 2025? It might not. It might come out in the fall time, at the end of the year it could
Yeah.
come out. We don't know. They never officially announced anything like that. And people just assume and speculate all this different garbage from no sources, thinking that,
Yeah.
oh, well, it's going to be. How is the game delayed if they haven't actually gave an actual release date yet? Like, to me, that's not delayed. You know, I mean, if they did
Uh,
end up doing 2026, then that's delayed to me because they already told us 2025, right? That's
yeah.
delayed technically. But if it still comes out within 2025, well, then the game's not delayed. That's just the timeline they chose, right? So
Right. Yeah.
it's kind of just crazy that people just get up in arms and they want the game ASAP, but then when they get it and then there's bugs, then they complain. You can't really make
Yeah.
people happy. And I really, really hope that Take Two Interactive, the parent company of Rockstar, I hope that they're not pressuring Rockstar to release this game. I hope that they're kind of letting them do whatever they need to do, funding them fully,
Yeah.
whatever they need. Because in reality, we don't want this game to be a flop. I mean,
Yeah.
it has huge expectations. We don't want it to come out and be garbage, and by the way, Rockstar's titles, they've never came out and been garbage, right? Like Red Dead Redemption 2 wasn't
Yeah.
bad. It came out, it was pretty good. And obviously there's going to be a few bugs here and there, but we don't want a completely broken game, you know.
Yeah.
So,
But they did really dig into their developers. They were making them work like 20-hour days.
yeah,
Not even like 24-hour days right before release.
that's true.
But yeah, I do agree with that. Like, they did say 2025, so if it gets pushed to 2026, that is a delay, but they have full transparency to do that. They also know that it's gonna make them probably the most money they've ever made. Um, if not, then a lot. Definitely a lot. They know the hype. So they may cut corners because they know the hype will sort of fill in some sort of negative gaps in programming. Um, but they also do probably want to keep their reputation. So I think there's
Yeah.
something to be said for that. Um,
I mean, their reputation is good right now,
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
minus
They want to keep
GTA Online. If they were
it.
to get rid of that title, maybe they'd be way better off.
Oh, yeah, I did see something online saying that this like quote unquote delay could be happening due to the recent purges in online like hacking, right? And they're kind of cracking down on the GTA Online uh, hacking, right? And so that could be a push for the delay,
Yeah.
but as you said, like it's not like they've released anything.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like when it comes to security, they need to completely throw out whatever internal, like peer to peer online system they have. Like, if they ever, like, release their old technology that they developed, that would be just shitty. You know, I mean, I don't curse
Yeah,
on the show, but that'd be bad. Like if they release GTA 6 and it has the same type of hacking issues and all that, I mean, come on. I mean, I
yeah,
understand some hackers here and there, but there's literally like it's just too flawed, right? Like they need to get rid of this
yeah,
whole online system and throw it out the window and just kind of produce something better and modern, because we got a lot of modern technology now with all these new games and all that. Like you don't really see hacking too often anymore, right? Because game developers, they have brand new protocols and different systems. But what I heard
yeah.
is that in GTA 5 online, you can literally access someone's files on their computer through the game. Like that's, come on,
Yeah.
you know
Jeez.
I don't even know why there's a link between the computer and the game. It should be completely encrypted, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna hack only inside the game, not outside of the game. And one time
That could
someone
be
put
dangerous. Yeah.
my personal location in the chat. So it's like,
Oh,
wow.
was it real?
Yep, it was real.
Ooh. Like your IP?
Yep. And my address. My street
Oh,
address, not even the city.
that's next level flexing.
Yeah, I mean, one thing's getting the city and one thing's getting your exact house,
Uh-huh.
you know? And they even get your name too. They said my name,
Ooh,
like my last name and everything in the chat.
this was in GTA?
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty advanced now what they do.
Yeah.
And it really needs to be looked into.
Yeah, that's kind of a little bit scary.
It really is.
They could mail you a bomb or something.
I don't want to think about that.
Anyways, on a less depressing note, you heard about the 2025 solar flare, correct?
Oh, yes. I was actually just reading about that on the phone.
So I've heard a few things like it's kind of just up in the air and it's kind of conveniently right around the presidential election. Huh. And so there's this like one conspiracy theorist that I talked to who said, uh, oh, they're gonna have the presidential election and then have the solar flare and have every internet device be locked out. So we have to go to this one
Well,
government policy and blah blah
isn't
blah
that
blah blah.
isn't that happening on April though? Or is it
April?
happening November?
No, yeah. Mm, someone said 2025. Someone said right around the presidential election. I don't know.
Weird.
But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about a something similar. Um, space weather forecasters. I don't know why we have space weather forecasters, but
Oh my god, that's funny. Continue.
they issued a geomagnetic storm watch through Monday, saying an outburst of plasma from a solar flare could interfere with radio transmissions on Earth. Uh,
Wow.
so something similar. So it's not going to wipe out the internet, but
Yeah.
um, this could interrupt high frequency radio transmissions, such as like an aircraft trying to communicate with distant traffic control towers. So like not if they're trying to land, but just like a distant one.
Yeah. Huh.
Um, Most commercial aircraft use satellite transmission as backup, so not their main transmissions.
That's a plus. I
Um,
mean, I know they have a lot of redundancy these days.
yeah. Satellite operators could have trouble tracking spacecraft, and power grids could see some induced current in their lines, but nothing they can't handle. Uh,
Oh, yeah. Well,
and
this is this
yeah,
week though, right?
yeah, through Monday, so
Oh, okay.
tomorrow.
Well, I mean, I haven't had any major effects.
Yeah,
Life is the same as always for me.
yeah. It's I don't know. It's something. What do you think about the storm in the presidential election conveniently tied together?
Well, I mean, I'd believe the conspiracies if it happened, like if it actually happened, you know?
Yeah, right.
Like maybe I'll believe it more so if like, hey, it's election night and all the internet went out that night. Like, yeah, I'll believe it, right? But I feel like a lot of that is just talk, you know, like
Yeah,
conspiracy theorist talk, and um, you know, it's not that every single conspiracy theory is wrong necessarily, but a lot of them are flawed in basis, you know. Um,
yeah,
and it's like it's funny because I could recall like a year or two ago they were just saying how Donald Trump's going to be in office again, and I don't see him in office.
yeah.
Remember they were like, "Oh, he's coming back in August." That's what it says in the Bible.
What?
Yeah,
Nuts, nuts,
yeah.
man.
I
Yeah,
mean, I don't think the United States and the Bible have anything to do with each other, but they can continue
yeah.
to go on, you know?
Whatever nonsensical garbage they want to tell themselves.
Right? I mean, honestly, though, this whole satellite thing and the solar effects and all this different
Yeah,
stuff, like, I think it's just, it happens, you know? I think it always happens, and we have yet to experience some type of random storm that is gonna like
yeah,
completely put things out, you know. I mean,
right.
it might happen someday, but I highly doubt it for now.
I agree. Well, here's another topic I think is kind of big. Um, so I know you're in the market to get a car.
Yeah,
What do
I
you,
am.
yeah, what do you think about electric cars?
I think that it's a complicated topic because you know there's some pluses and minuses, you know, associated with that industry, and you know
Yeah,
people still don't know how to repair it. People don't know how to replace the battery. Well, they know how to replace the batteries, but they don't know how much it's going to cost, you know.
yeah,
Like there's a lot of red flag unknowns in that whole industry. And you know, I'm still struggling to see like if everybody gets an electric vehicle, how is
yeah,
the power grid going to keep up with that type of current? You
yeah.
know, I mean, that'll
Um,
require so many more kilowatts of power than megawatts of power, if anything, right? Than what we
yeah,
have today. But I'm not against electric cars. You know, I've always looked into like getting a Tesla and this and that, right? But Now I kind of see Tesla as like the interiors are very low quality, cheap. I mean, it's not really premium in any sense of the matter, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I like the cars, I like the mission, I like all that, but I don't know if I could see myself getting into one yet. Eventually, I will have one though when the technology's even better than it is today. I think it's just a matter of waiting until better battery cells come out and the charging infrastructure is a lot better than it is today.
You're right.
Because it's like you're pretty much signing up for a beta test of something that's not going to be fully ready, not yet at least.
Right. Well, U.S. automakers have lost roughly $6,000 on every $50,000 EV they sell in America.
Really?
Now, this is coming from mostly Rivian and Lucid. Now, earlier this year,
Yeah.
Rivian revealed that it lost $33,000 on every truck sold.
Oh my
Even
god.
worse, Lucid topped that figure with $400,000 loss on each car sold.
My god. $400,000 per car?
Yeah.
They're better off not even producing cars then.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Lucid's gonna be bankrupt and out of the picture in a few years, if not
Probably.
like a year or two. And I don't think you mentioned it, but Fisker as well. That's another
Oh,
company. Um,
poor Fisker.
yeah, they're going bankrupt actually. They haven't officially announced it yet, but
Finally.
they have hired bankruptcy attorneys, so you pretty much know what direction that's going. Now Rivian, though, I'd like to point out about that company. I don't know if you saw, I ordered, I placed a deposit on a Rivian, and
Oh,
yeah, it's called the R2, the Rivian R2, and I gave them my deposit, and I was like, hey, let me know when it's ready to go. Apparently,
yeah.
2026 it'll be shipping, so I have a bit to wait yet. But the reason I
I
ordered
too.
it, huh?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, the reason I ordered it is because I was kind of just like, well, it's an interesting vehicle. And I do believe in Rivian's plan. I think Rivian is trying to make high quality off road electric vehicles or adventure vehicles, as they call it. Not necessarily off road, because I don't really do off roading, but
Yeah.
I like the adventure aspect. And you know what really helped with the adventure aspect of everything? Jeep.
What?
So
Oh, yeah.
Rivian is very similar to Jeep in that way, where Jeep puts their whole brand in like being adventure, adventure
Yeah.
utility vehicles, and that's what Rivian's doing too. Adventure utility vehicles, and they have their truck, they have their big SUV, but the R2 is going to cost only, I think, $42,000, something like that. So it's a big departure from their current prices. Like right now, if you want a Rivian truck, you're going to be spending 90 grand easily. So this is actually going to be their cheapest vehicle produced yet. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be keeping my reservation long term or not. I might just refund it eventually, but
Yeah.
I reserved it because I'm like, well, I want to see what they do with this, going into the future. Like, I want to see what direction they go and if this is actually going to become a real thing. Because right now it's just a concept, right?
Yeah.
And it's also a way to get investors involved because apparently Rivian, they need the money now. Obviously, like you mentioned, they had a lot of losses,
Yeah.
and one of their primary investors is Amazon. So,
Oh, yeah. I
yeah.
actually, This is crazy. I saw a Rivian Amazon van on the road. I so
Really?
yeah.
Oh my god, I've been wanting to see one of those. They're really awesome, honestly. Like, I've seen the Rivian vans, and I was like, wow. Um, I've seen pictures of them, but not in person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and they're really cool, honestly. Like how they designed them and everything. I just hope that Amazon's looking at it in a, like I guess people were worried that Amazon's looking at Rivian as like
Yeah.
their private van manufacturer, not really like a big company that wants to make vehicles for regular people too, you know?
Yeah.
And if Amazon views it that way, then that could be bad for the future of Rivian. Now,
Right.
I was thinking to myself though, I'm like, Apple should acquire Rivian. Like, no joke. Because you know why? Apple
Why?
canceled the Apple Car. I don't know if you
Yeah.
heard that, but
Yeah, I
they
did.
canceled that project. And I'm like, well, I feel like Rivian lines up perfectly with what Apple wants to do, you know? And
Yeah, I
they
think
already
so.
got everything that they need. And I know Tim Cook was actually talking to Elon Musk years ago about buying Tesla, and he
Um,
never did it. But imagine he bought Tesla, right? Would the company even be big today? Who knows? But um, yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe Rivian's in a good position for like a buyout by someone.
yeah, I think it would have to be bought by a major company, though.
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
sure if that
definitely.
would help.
Not like a private equity firm or
Yeah.
anything like that. Like if an Apple bought it or even a Tesla. I mean, honestly, I could see
Yeah,
Tesla buying
Tesla.
up another competitor. That
Yeah.
would be smart, honestly, because Tesla could kind of diversify their portfolio.
Yeah.
Um, and this is,
What happened? Whatever happened to your Tesla Cybertruck deposit?
I canceled it. Well, ever since finding out that the truck's gonna be $100,000, I'm like, no
Oh
thanks.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not spending
right.
that much. That's ridiculous.
It is honestly.
And after seeing the interior and everything, I'm like, this is kind of
Maybe
cheapo
not.
interior.
Yeah.
I mean, you could
Yeah.
get a Ford Lightning for like 40 grand because the dealers want to get rid of them
Mm,
ASAP.
Ford Lightnings are bad. They're made pretty bad and don't really work.
Really? I mean, you
No,
think
yeah.
they're worse than
Um,
Cybertrucks though?
um, Mechanically, yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, one thing Tesla's always had for it is good engine, good powertrain, good battery.
yeah,
That's like the highlights of Tesla. And not so
right.
much their charging network anymore because they're opening up the charging network.
Yeah.
And like I think Rivian just announced that they're completely fully integrated with the Tesla chargers now, and they do it right through their app. So they did like a completely API type of thing where you put all the payment through the Rivian app. So like you don't even need the Tesla app or anything. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, the Tesla Cybertruck and then the other trucks out there. Like, I think the Cybertruck's pretty cool, but I don't know what direction it's gonna go. I really don't.
Right. Yeah. Um,
I mean, there was this one topic since we're on the topic of cars that I wanted to talk about.
yeah.
Um, well, Stellantis.
Stellantis, I think so. Is that a
They
company?
yes, they own Fiat, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram.
Oh, yes.
They
Yes.
own all these brands, right? And they are getting ready, according to internal sources, to lay off a whole bunch of people in
Ooh.
in their technology division. I mean, that's not good. I mean, they're already struggling on the, keeping up with the times type of thing, with all the new stuff on the touch
Right.
screens, and now they're firing even more technology employees. And apparently I heard that Stellantis is actually about to lose revenue in quarter one, which is going to be announced in the next few days, by the way. I believe some companies need to turn in these reports by like April. So we're gonna find out really quick how a lot of these companies are doing financially, and Stellantis is one of those that are kind of nervous about the fallout, you know,
Right.
and they have been one of the least innovative brands so far.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not really making anything new lately, and I
I
don't
mean, they
know.
did. I mean, Dodge did the Hornet, and they're coming out with a new
Oh yeah, I've
Charger,
heard of the Hornet.
and yeah, I mean that's kind of it.
I
Chrysler
mean,
and
in the economy though, will people be able to afford a $70,000 Challenger?
I mean they can afford the like $100,000 Jeep Wagoneer. I've seen those all over the road.
Really?
Yeah,
I've seen a
you
few of
seen you
those, and
seen
those are
them?
pretty stylish,
Yeah,
honestly.
they're nice.
Yeah, I think though that Stellantis has more of a, like, they don't care as much about the whole EV thing as much. Like, that
Right.
might be a negative on their end, um, and that might impact a lot of stuff in their business model. But I don't know. I mean, they definitely need new management, before everything like crashes down. I mean, they only sold 460 Fiats in all of America last year.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yikes.
I mean, imagine spending all that money on the dealers and having all the managers and salespeople like in every single state, and come to find
And
out that
even
they don't even sell that
sell
many.
500.
Yeah. I mean, my mom, she bought a Fiat,
Yeah,
honestly. Um, and I think a lot of Fiat dealers have been closed now. Like, if you look, like, I
yeah.
know the one Fiat dealer that my mom got hers from is closed. It's now a Hyundai dealer. So,
Ooh,
well, that's another thing too. Kia and Hyundai Group, they've been taking over the whole auto
yeah.
industry. They kind of turned around their image. They made like a 360. They came out with a new
Yeah.
logo and a new everything, new designs, more
I
technology.
mean, both of their companies, early 2000s through probably 2010, maybe 2015, both all of their cars were bad. They had the bad reputation, and now all of a sudden you see them everywhere. Like
Yeah.
I honestly think they did well. I'll still never buy one, but good for them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they really did turn around things though. They made a commitment to their brand, and they reinvested, and they kind of went the right direction. Um, and honestly, I've seen, they did their new logo, and now they're doing electric vehicles, and they're
Yeah.
very serious about everything. And I think what really is growing them the most, though, is the fact that they're one of the only, well, not the only, but one of the few automakers who are still making vehicles that are a fair price. You know, like,
Mm,
they're not over here being like Ford, where if you want a Ford today, now you gotta spend at least 40 grand, or
yeah.
or the other companies out there that want crazy amounts of money. I mean, the average price of a vehicle is 45,000 now, and
Ooh,
that's most transactions. And also on top of that, you got the high interest rates, and that's just hurt things even more. Um, So yeah, I mean, I feel like people now they want value, you know, they want
Hmm.
something that's worth their money, and that's
Right.
why those companies are growing.
Well, I'm all for all of these new tech advancements that we talked about today, and um, I look forward to next week's episode.
Yeah, I do too, and I'm hoping eventually we're going to be bringing on some special guests to the next episodes of the show. So hopefully, stay tuned for that. Um, and some people were asking me, Joshua, how
Oh,
often are we going to be making episodes?
um, we will figure that out. Not too sure.
Yeah. Well,
We'll
I'd
probably
say we strive for at least two per month, right?
yes.
Minimum, you know? Um,
I don't. Me personally, I don't think there's enough news to be doing it weekly,
yeah, I would
right?
agree. I'd agree.
Because I think some of it definitely meshes from week to week.
I'd honestly say every other Sunday,
Yeah,
recording date and
and
publishing date
yeah,
Monday.
we'll have it every we'll record every Sunday
Yeah.
or every other Sunday. I mean,
Yeah, and then you guys will hear it every other Monday. So, yeah, I mean, that'll be good, right?
yeah,
Because it doesn't take long at all to edit these shows. It's kind of just
that's
like,
good. That's good news.
boom, there it is. But thank you everyone for listening this long. You were able to put up with our voices for the past hour. So thank you for listening to Techno Talk. Make sure to subscribe and
Thank you.
leave your voice message on the Spotify for Podcasters platform. Have a good one.